work. There were many times where it could not happen. And if it were not for her, John, the district, a host of people, we would have been able to go to Africa. There is going to be a board presentation in our October board meeting, which will take place in front of the 50th anniversary mural, where the students will present on their experience. This was the best group, hands down, that I've ever gone on a trip with. And I've done a lot of these trips, not to Africa, but trips with students for most of my career. The students and the faculty involved in it were so accommodating and flexible with all of the adversity that we faced to make this happen. I want to also acknowledge Ebony Tyree, because unfortunately she did not get to go. It makes up with her visa and her passport. And I personally did everything I could to try to get that passport and visa back here. Just ran into some challenges with the embassy and the shipper. We paid for next day air. They didn't mark Saturday delivery. It got delivered on Monday. So unfortunately, Ebony didn't get to go, but we met with the students. For those of you who don't know, several students, including myself, we didn't get our visas back. And so we purchased additional airline tickets after we met with the students, and those who we knew were going to come on Friday, and said, hey, here's the situation. Do you all still want to do it? And everyone said yes, including Ebony, who knew that there was an increased likelihood that hers was not going to come on Saturday, even though we were doing everything we could to come. But after hearing the students, as a great faculty member she is, she insisted that we proceed without her, so that the students could have this chance of a lifetime, and they did. You'll hear more about the trip. I was telling Masa and the team who wrote the Anapeasy grant that the first news that I received when I arrived back into San Diego late yesterday was that we had received the award. So let's give Masa and those who helped. We are very real about social justice here. It's not just something we say in words, and this is the next in a line of very deserving students. We know we have a very large population of Asian Pacific Islanders in Southeast San Diego. Masa being an alum himself, we have a unique opportunity to build out ethnic studies to include Asian Pacific Islanders, and this grant is going to get us closer to that goal. So anyone who's watching, if you're wondering whether I'm going to be advocating for an Asian Pacific Islander studies professor, the answer to that is yes, which will hopefully join the Black study professors that we're hiring, the Chicano studies professors that we're hiring, and the Native American studies professor. And that'll help us build out our ethnic studies to also include a discussion at some point about gender studies and women's studies and all of these courses that help build out a well-rounded education that we offer here at San Diego City College. But I just wanted to acknowledge Masa and the team. I believe Corinne and others were involved in writing this grant. It was so good. And really it helped relieve the 24-hour travel that I had to partake in to get back here. That was the first news that I received. And so we're going to invite Masa Janelli to the next College Council to do a refresher on the grant so that people know what we wrote. And if you would invite a faculty member, Corinne, or whoever you believe should be with you to provide an overview of the grant. This is great news for our students in our community, in our college. With that said, I am going to turn it, well, we should probably do introductions. Everybody knows each other, but there are people watching. So, and I don't have, yes.
I was just gonna say, are we doing roll call?
That's what I was gonna do. We're gonna do introductions for roll call because I don't have the agenda in front of me. And so I'll start. My name is Ricky Shabazz. I have the honor and privilege of being the president of San Diego City College. Thank you to those who are watching live via YouTube and certainly want to publicly thank Sean Ryan for making this possible. This is the biggest TV I've ever seen in my life, but it's how we're projecting to you all, and we would not be able to do this if it were not for Sean and Janelli as well. And so Janelli, we'll popcorn it and just go around to introduction. So the folks who are going to introduce themselves represent the leaders on our campus. And if you would like to have an agenda item come forth for a college council to consider, these would be the folks you would work with to do so. So Janelli?
I'm introducing myself.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Janelli Rodriguez. I'm one of President Shabazz's executive assistants. If you'd like to bring an item to College Council, feel free to email me at jrodriguez002@sdccd.edu. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Robbie Ewell, Dean of Information and Learning Technology.
This is Sean Ryan. I work with Classroom Technology Management here on City College campus, and I also represent the Classified Senate as president.
Good afternoon, my name is Boston Hill, and I work in the counseling department, A366. Student need assistance, please come see us. And I am representing our supervisors here on our campus.
And I believe this will be Jocelyn's last meeting as they had an election, and Jay is going to be joining us as the next Bob representative. But wanted to just thank you for your leadership in the role of the last 2 years. Thank you, Jocelyn.
Yes, they will be attending the next meeting, so we will send out information.
And the reason why we're all here.
Hello, my name is Jay Worthay. I'm the Associate Students Government President.
Sunaf Magnus, representing the President of Church Cabinet.
Maria Jose Salon Perez, I am the Academic Senate President.
John Parker, VP Admin Services.
Also, Dean for the School of Social Behavioral Sciences and Customer Capital Studies.
Julie Chavez, Vice President of Instruction.
Marcelo Perez, Vice President of Student Services.
Susan Murray, Dean of Institutional Effectiveness.
Great. Under normal circumstances, we would approve the minutes, but I think what we'll do is approve both minutes next meeting so that we can, or we won't take any more time out of Susan's time. And I want to thank Susan for agreeing to lead us in a goal setting exercise and to set the tone. There's no number that we need to come up with as long as it is agreeable to this group, whether it be 1, whether it be 3, whether it be 5, as to the number of goals that we will then evaluate using some kind of survey tool that I'm sure Susan will come up with in our last or during our last College Council meeting in the spring. But Susan, thank you.
Okay. So to start with, we wanted to give everyone kind of a refresher and let you know that maybe we need to do some updating in terms of documenting the purpose and organization of College Council. We have a charge, and I'll pass these around, from the college handbook that was published several years ago. And we're going to end up in about 4 groups. So if you want to think about positioning yourself to get with 2 or 3 of your colleagues, some of you may need to share a copy, but then that will help some discussion. So since the publication of that last college handbook, we undertook what we call the committee review project with support from an IEPI improvement grant. And that project is mostly complete, but it has some disruptions due to the pandemic. And we were very close to presenting a final proposal when everything went remote, and really that was not where people needed to be putting their focus at that time. And so we have regrouped. One of the things that group, the steering committee for that project put forward was a revised template for committee charges. So several groups have kind of piloted this. City Planning has done that, City Student Journey has done that. by adopting a charge in this new format. So I'm going to share the new format as well. And basically, this contains information from the old charge where it overlapped. But there are some things on this new structure that are new. So I'm not proposing that we take the time today to rewrite that charge. So.
I'm trying to monitor the chat.
Oh. So we're not proposing that we take time today to rewrite the charge, but our discussion about the goals does need to be informed by the purpose of College Council and why we're here. And then that may become something that we think we should accomplish this year, is to get the charge reviewed and updated, because it has been several years. I think the last time we published the campus handbook was in the fall of 2019. So with that being said, what I'd like folks to do, and I apologize that this does not work so well for live streaming, but it is what it is. We are in a transitional phase with figuring out how to adapt technology and in-person meetings and get them to work together. So at your table or group of tables with your, a few of your colleagues, please take a look at these two documents and think about the purposes of College Council, why we meet as a group, what our function is. As you often hear Ricky say, the highest level of participatory governance at our college. What should we be doing? So just have some conversation about that for a few minutes, and then we will come back and start looking at potential goals. So my clock says 2:51, we'll go till 2:55.
Oh, you want some? So, question is, as the highest level of participatory governance, what should we be doing? Okay.
This is a place where efficiency. I got support on places. Share, communicate, this.
No, I can't do that part.
Yeah, and I will be able to review, discuss processes, procedures.
What's called what ensure balance issues.
And then this other one here, so serves at the highest level.
It's also hanging out this year towards production. To share governance, which I don't know if everybody.
Are you looking at the paragraph?
Maybe try to
Yes.
paraphrase that.
Yes.
So we're modeling
Yes.
share, what share.
Yeah, it is, I mean, the title.
Yes.
So maybe just, if I was trying to show you that we're modeling shares.
So what happened is, this is what.
And I had one I didn't hear.
This one.
Yeah.
This one, and the new one is renovating on 21.
We're assessing
She probably just tries to move it.
success. Any other thoughts?
Should there be something about promoting social justice? Because that.
Because I know some people, I feel like I came in here, like, not actually. So now you, I'm my own culture, so I literally have to learn. And it's just to kind of get it. And I, so are we not supposed to look at these? Because, this one is before, right, the ordinance to the district and what it will be. Changes up. But not requiring a mayor. There was. It was actually correct. I don't know. It's just something that.
Yeah, my second.
Could that go under why the budget work council? Could that go under?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I came in.
It's different, it's not between the Senate and the Board of.
Okay, so we want to ensure that this year,
District, yeah, district and Board of.
the 70 points.
Well, we think that that's really, what is our purpose here?
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be, I wrote down just general principles of communication. I like the way that they play, right, for sharing information, concerns, ideas.
One more minute enough for.
Bullet number 2.
This is all sorts of.
And I'm for, I mean, we do make decisions.
Policy, with a policy.
One more minute.
So could that still be number 4, like models of shared governance / decision?
Rather than proposal.
One more minute.
Or rather than. So if we hear from.
There's no word.
You will get that.
Oh, this start the conversation.
I will say, I thought we had hit all of them at 4 until you brought up yours. I was like, oh, yes. So everybody else has it.
Probably the same also, just kind of.
I don't want to change.
Provides, no, because this is like a closed book, right? So people are just watching.
Well, they can participate
Yeah.
and bring forth a
Okay. So it's almost like something along the lines of.
Because it's been the process for me, so.
Yeah.
More if I want something to be.
How would you explain that?
It's not a, you have to go to all those places first.
It's
get your
college
approval, right?
level.
And then bring it to college council, and say this is how we're gonna do this.
Whatever. So authorize you say, like, yes. Yes, right, yes.
They're really frustrated.
Or, I don't like the analogy, but you.
So-
Well, I think that's the number 4, like the model. But it's like, they do get to participate.
Here,
If
but then
the
district.
two months, probably more than get to participate by attending. Choice participate by.
So it changes happen.
Agenda items, they get to participate by working on one of the meetings for councils that. But it's not. Yeah, and we've had people
Because the second sentence, so student may
And ask
consider
questions.
right? The third one says receiver, consider.
To appropriate locations. And or place them.
But receiving from.
And the amazing chapter.
I think we do a lot, more, because of the +1 curriculum policies.
I think that's
Okay, let's come back together. There's time. All right, so this is just the first stage in this. Why are you all so far away?
We're the line of the camera.
I know, why?
Why are you so far away?
Let's do it. Yep. Okay, this is just the first step in this conversation, but it's really to just kind of frame the setting of goals or the identification of goals in your head by thinking about the purpose of the group. So what I'm going to do is just have you share out some of the things that you discussed at your table, not full sentences, just kind of concepts. We'll capture these and then we'll circle back to this in a future meeting. So Ricky, in your table, do you want to start off?
Well, we're gonna model shared governance, and we have 5 things, but Maria Jose had the first one.
Yes, shared and distributed information. Was that it, the first one? Yes.
Jocelyn had number 2. If you can read my.
Yes. Review, discussion, processes, and procedures.
Our third one was modeling shared governance.
Okay.
Really, it's assessing student achievement / success. It really could be discussing student achievement and success.
Yeah.
And you had one more?
Yeah, promoting the college's mission and values of social justice, equity, inclusion, accessibility, diversity.
So this is what happens when you ask the president's group to go first.
And then, what we say,
Here.
yeah,
All right. Did either of the other groups have anything that has not already been mentioned? Go ahead.
We kind of took it a different way, as in what is and what ought to be. And we thought about a procedure and a policy part. Like, we should be actively, engaging in policy recommendation or review of policy instead of receiving and processing it, send it back up to the district.
Okay.
If we hear some discrepancies or challenges that the policy and the reality doesn't meet or practice doesn't meet, we ought to address that more actively.
So I think the difference is between being reactive to what the district sends us as opposed to being, we ought to be proactive in identifying those areas where processes and procedures don't actually align with the work we do here.
If that happens, yes. Not like looking for troubles, but just saying like, we are the ones on the field.
Okay. Does that sort of capture it?
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, you probably can't read my writing.
And
From
place
way back
for,
there.
reconciliation of ideas.
place for reconciliation of ideas.
Mhm.
Yeah. So same issue can be seen and received and processed through different shared governance, entities. And this is the place to kind of, the conference committee, so where discussion could happen in any topic. And you go back, bring it back, and do it again. It's this like an iterative process that is involved in the structure.
Yeah.
Place for reflective equilibrium.
That's a.
Anything else from your group?
Kind of had some support for all these. We saw the importance of the groups that come together for this, which would be the model and the shared governance, and just making sure that that group is always reflected properly.
Mm-hmm.
And we also put a Hail Mary for the term city plan. Thinking that actually among the different things that should be acknowledged as a direct line up. Work with city plan.
Yeah, and that was something that we talked about quite a bit in the IEPI work group in terms of that flow from the other governance bodies to college council and back. 'Cause college council has two types of representation. We have constituency groups, we have students, faculty, classified supervisors, administrators, and then we have our other areas of governance. And, city planning is a big one because it oversees strategic planning, accreditation, some of our big college-wide processes, but we also have student journey that's looking at, that's doing enrollment management planning. We have groups working on our diversity plan. We have, our resource allocation processes. So I think, I'm not sure the best way to capture it, but there is that sense that this group needs to have that two-way communication with other governance bodies and other levels of planning and decision-making. Because this
Like
is.
a repository kind of
Mhm.
place for all of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're clearing copies, right? Right? It's never just a one-way direction, it's both in and out.
Okay. Can you tell it's been 3 years since I've written on a whiteboard?
You're doing great.
Yes, thank you, Susan.
One of the things that we didn't, maybe we said it, but in a different way, was just the kind of the promotion of community. Because, one of the things that often will happen here is we're bringing together all of the things that are happening at the college and talking about how they connect, that not one thing, right? Like their NFPZ grant affects, all these other people in different ways. And so this is the way in which we engage in community, talking about these are all the things that make us who city is.
And I hope this is not, it takes for ourselves. When you were saying that, I thought of promotion of community and collegiality. Civility, right? Yeah. Decorum, whatever.
See, now you got me hanging my head because I was so hot last time.
No. No,
I came out way hotter than I intended. So sorry.
Yeah. It was a lively discussion.
You guys are all very, must be saying, that was a good modeling, actually, yeah.
Okay.
They don't always agree.
I still say like the check and balances, I don't like that sentence, but I know it's used in English quite a bit. So how would you explain that in a better, more positive? Because we are.
Well, I mean,
Right.
is that related to the reconciliation of ideas that,
But sometimes.
this group can
So, yeah.
discuss something, can go back to the bodies that the members represent for
But there
that
might not
input
be a
and then bring it back.
reconciliation either, right? It might be just that we're kind of discussing an issue that might not have reconciliation, but it's a place where there is a piece of accountability too, I think, in the discussion maker, but I don't know how to explain it, you know.
So I know it's a super technical, not super, I know it's a technical term, but reflective equilibrium, I think, captures what you're talking about. That is to say, there's not always agreement, but what you do is you take in new information and then you go back, in this case, to constituency groups, and you see how it fits, and then you come back and you take on more new information, and you see how all the old information and the new information are sort of balanced out. And so you're in this constant process of reflecting and trying to find an equilibrium, but that equilibrium is never like a static thing, right?
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking of the word mediation, right? There's mediation here.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So with that foundation, now we want to shift perspective a little bit and think about goals. Anybody want to share a definition of a goal?
Measurable, achievable, something. Outcome that reflects the value of the institution.
Okay. So we're looking for something achievable, something that is concrete enough to know, yes, we accomplished it, versus not really being sure by the time we get to the end of the academic year. It would be good if it was measurable, that you had some way of showing that progress. Achievable, because, you know, we can all think of a lot of goals for City College that would not be achievable in a year or would not be achievable by this particular group. You know, our focus here is setting goals for College Council as a body, different than, say, the college's strategic goals. We want to have some sense of the time that it will take. And we are looking at about a 1-year time frame. You know, we want to do this annually. Maybe there's something that would extend for a couple of years, but as Ricky said, we really have not done this before, or at least in a while. So starting with a little smaller scope is probably not a bad idea. So you can get too ambitious and then get kind of paralyzed by that. One of the things that we discussed with the committee review work group is the use of logic models as a planning tool. And so that's kind of where we're going to be heading with this. So we're not going to we won't have the time today to completely fill that out, but we'll be able to identify some goals. Then I'll work with a couple of people to kind of fill that in, and then we'll bring that whole thing back to the college for another round of discussion. But that is a way of creating a work plan by defining what you intend to achieve, the resources that you have to accomplish it, the specific actions that you're going to take, and then what are going to be the short-term and the long-term impacts if you do what you plan to do. And when we were working on this idea of how can we make our governance processes more effective, how can we use all of the time that we devote to meetings and committees and make sure that that's building value for the college and returning value to the participants as well. Because there are a few work-related things, I guess, more frustrating than feeling like you have invested a whole lot of time in something that really hasn't gone anywhere. And our initial surveying several years ago, pre-pandemic, indicated there was some sense that that was happening in some of our committees. And by identifying goals and then having a work plan, by continuing to refer to those goals and have updates on them and make them agenda items and topics of discussion in meetings on a regular basis, that's a way of keeping the focus on what you're trying to accomplish, sharing information about what's happening to move things forward toward that goal. And then, you know, you get to the point where you can say, yes, we've completed this, and now we can kind of go on to the next thing. So that's where we're headed. What I'd like you to do with all of this in mind, and you all can get up and walk around. You don't have to stay in your chairs. Grab a couple sheets of chart paper and some markers, and at your tables, brainstorm some potential goals for college council. I'm going to throw out one that we might want to do because we already kind of put this on our agenda for the year. And that is reviewing our mission statement. We had some discussion of this related to and identified a work group of people from college council that was going through the voting process where the college could review and update the mission statement. I'm bringing around some reference materials if they are helpful. You have the mission statement and the social justice commitment that you have our strategic priorities, goals, and strategies. So you can also think about how the goals that College Council is working on might be in alignment with those larger institutional goals or priorities. So, do another time check, because I completely forgot where I was today. 3:15. All right, let's go until 3:40.
So there are so many ways to keep us on right? Under certain, whatever those things are. So it doesn't get attention. You can't turn it in. So I don't know if there's something that we should, that should be. Think about something.
Right away.
You don't remember
Presentations.
These stairs are annual event.
If you have something about presentations,
We should already have.
groups that need to present
Permanent items.
presentations. Yeah, so instead of it being a special presentation, it's a presentation of the order of
Come here eventually. Should-
I said that.
Yes,
There should be a lot of goals that we develop. This guy.
Just input.
That is. Organization.
Yeah.
The whole campus gets, it's shuffled several different places.
Correct.
From.
Here, check the box.
Yes.
At the college.
Strategic plan.
That allows us to just.
Like I said. So it has to be involved.
We don't mind this, but divided just. That aligns with.
Instead of just being embodied.
Everyone's social justice.
So it aligns broader than just the structure plan, so.
I mean, that.
It's trying to be much, but on.
Partnerships, they're gonna have these partnerships, there's definitely a plan. It's gonna- And that could be very. Right, how many, every year, how many. I was thinking two, but I don't know what you all, should we have two, but I don't know about.
Strategic calendaring for agenda.
There's so much that we don't know.
Or like, yeah, or if we already have so many days, we're gonna be, we should already have a days.
5 to 10 minutes tops, and then you can have.
Already.
Yeah. Yes.
So maybe this year's goal is to hire this and the goal.
Just depends on how. That's what else.
Yeah. I'm thinking like Sunday, when I'm playing like now, I'm gonna be doing this.
But I think we should get.
I know.
What are the most difficult? Right.
But that's funny, because it actually says that for our estimated, so we will have a meeting. That didn't. This is how it works, this is how this process works, this is how the process works, so this time. This is how we set under responsibilities.
Of some sort.
No
But
education.
this event calendar and a planning calendar, I don't know if we should.
So I think this is highlighting
Yes, you can.
programs or situations that
And that's.
maybe not everybody knows about. But I think rather than doing it like.
I'm struggling with this idea.
Because people, everybody wants
I
to.
didn't
try
feel like
to
we
but
done
we
this.
highlighted that more.
Because some of us who are
Things change, right?
everywhere.
It's in us, first things to kind of, you know. So I think it's more in terms of looking at the people lens, in terms of, okay,
But
what
at the same
should we
time.
highlighting at this point in time.
So there is no, I mean.
But I know that will be, but I love that. Because I don't want to put that in that
And just say, did everybody remember, you remember, I kind of recapped the people one day, and we're like, wait, what did you just say? And then it was, because I heard.
Speaking of some of the city college, some of the.
Are we sharing information here?
You can ask someone, hey, before the presentation or after the presentation, you know, learn more about said program that you do. I mean, I can already tell you, it's been several months since we wrote it.
I would like.
I don't remember everything else. But to have a presentation, I can tell you more.
And again, sharing the meetings, I think that one of contact device here, so somebody has questions, they can email literally a lot of related to the process that transparency goes all around processes. So people have more questions, they can go interested and ask, where do I look? And so I think.
Right, yeah, I'm going, both.
Yeah. less. Better. So the goals are actually bigger, we twist that line.
Somebody wants to take us on the chapter number 2. Then we can decide.
You know, that's a good point. It should probably be, and I know this is potentially part of our profit, but typically on our operational financial audits.
Policies and
Either at the
procedures.
cost level, or district level, or company level.
Like maybe just an update. This is where we are, this is where we are, and this is.
I know there's
For this.
It should be at the district level, at
So
college council.
this is where folks come to learn.
An internal auditor, so.
Yeah.
That would be part of the process for operational, because finance, we can count on finance.
So write that down before you forget.
The line that officials do in such a, okay, let's have these processes and procedures or like, what are we shooting for? Like, there's always like update that. What specifically has to process work? You know, it's not just the form, but like, you want this, like, here's the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, here's what it goes to, here's how we track the process. So that everybody, I've done the email again and again to my point of contact that I'm here is that. So it feels like, well, I spend so much of my process with that, but I'm not actually. And that's what it feels like, you cannot do this, you know, when I'm using the data, and so that has been underlying, you know, like,
What's the verb? What's the action?
so I'm not sure that it's a auditor or something, but.
It will be clarifying, it can be either one, but I think
Right.
it boils down to. saying
Information,
policy, which I see in departments across the campus, we don't. So what we do.
Yeah, I would just say clarify, form, discuss.
Well, the district, there are certain programs that are operating. And if I came in, I would.
Wish there was something else exactly what I was thinking.
So would a goal be for us to
Having a
once
presentation, not necessarily this.
So we'll be analyzing.
Review of the implementation review of standard operating procedures.
Keep it the way it is.
You know, because we have. Things that are
I think procedures necessarily.
It could be something virtual.
Maybe it's just clarify.
Where are we missing this?
The colleges, continues to provide a point of contact.
Standard operating, that's what we do.
I think that's just a little bit more specific.
College council to clarify, to use those, college facilitate.
So that is brought to you to provide these other. It's just, you know, so we set up your framework, we set up your rotation, a cycle, and then we say, okay, here's how we're gonna.
There's another one.
If we're being here from everybody, yeah.
You probably even get one read, so come up with this.
I was just thinking about that, in the beginning, yeah.
I didn't know, but every school uses some form of.
What I was.
Mine didn't. And it was chaotic.
So we have a very special college council periodically in different locations.
Say, first department, CRM, what are you doing? This, that, and this. I got new class, I need to know which modality is that.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are we gonna measure? Because the measure for that happens with the forms.
They have the form, I have the form, I decide.
Yes,
You said, and this would be us, that's the. So how do we they could rephrase that to say members of
I don't think it's your reasonably to any.
I'm-
So that you would have.
that they're all, so I can prove them before I leave. I don't want to pull it on the side of the
No.
way to prove that. But, yeah.
Yeah, but I imagine that there's just.
But that makes sense, but that's not. If it went out to the offices, then. So how do we? I don't like to see goal, because we're the ones who get the service. We're the middle.
I think it's fine.
Sure, in a sense, it is.
Format wise, I obviously. Because although my phone is so they can tell all that. I am. When's your birthday? October 19th. I'm very my dad.
So I'm gonna help you rephrase it too.
Oh, nice.
Now,
29.
what you get to decide, this is not what you wanted, but let's brainstorm here, maybe we try it here first. I think we're still brainstorming.
So my ideal were best friends. I didn't know what it was. I know everything about those.
You know, you can say, yeah, I got it.
Oh my God. My dad's a cancer. And my all three.
Look at each other, and then we can measure that, if we are surveying, we can say.
Yeah, because then the question could be,
Yes, we can work on and say. This is not just for our guys. Yes.
Yes, I have them in my, like, I have a basically like a draft document in my computer that basically has the outlines of the draft agenda. But I have you scheduled for the 11th, the 11th, 19th.
Personal, informal.
I think it is 16. Thanksgiving break. But I need to just respond to them. Yeah, and he's taking.
For ideas.
5 minutes just for one item. And part of what.
Yeah.
We already said, well, so.
Yeah.
Because we say nice to we are engaged.
Yes, all the approvals will have to happen right at those spring semesters because we have to submit the measures first. Okay. We don't want to have last minute. Yes. It's good that you guys have the jump on it. Yes. And that's what I'm doing. Times, yeah. Like, are you sure? Are you sure?
College council is
Communal.
safe and
It is 3:33, just because I said you prefer to watch.
We have to measure it, maybe we create.
yes, got it.
Inviting.
Okay.
So.
Am I doing long term with setting up the momentum?
Sociology would come in and say, hey, here's what we were doing and we want to have a student learning parts. I know, I always show this in both what our mission is, for students and us, right? But also bringing in faculty so that get the service that they're a part of it. By literally understanding, hey, it's broadcast, you can opt in or opt out of those. Right? I mean, I think that I'm like, it's just our students are like, oh, there's one, I mean, we're not working.
Did our new
Right?
Yeah, it's been here for like.
I don't know how many people.
Unusual suspect.
I don't have a picture of her.
Yeah.
I've seen faces.
Definitely. Right?
No, I don't.
How do things get on college council? That's what I'm. And so for me, like,
You're breaking it up over there.
Right? And so.
Yeah, I think these are my.
There's a way to priority. But if I don't know. I'm
You know what I figured out? And maybe you all know this, but this is the first time that they really
You don't want to like create more work and have to do it, but I think like invitation is something like, so you know what, that's just more
like
work.
normally it was the
Like,
past president who
Well, you
really
should have
was
at the beginning of your college meeting, right, that this is your.
now all three of
Your
them.
council.
When did you come? When did you come here?
I came in a year.
It wasn't.
I came in as a secretary for one semester, then as the president, interim, one semester, now.
So it was fall that you started meeting. Because the secretary.
Yeah, secretary, when you're 20 years old, just started, that's like, hey, there's a party here. You're like, okay, I'll show up. And we're in a very, in some places, you get a flyer.
Well, and the whole college is.
Yes, all of us, that's what we were joking, we're all ladies, we're trying to grow up together.
Okay. Do we want to forward? Are we?
Days, then like, hey, just reach out to anybody, because then that. So the people who like the regional, and then what we, that means is. Is that part of the curriculum? I just want to make sure, and they're also respect, professional, I've heard from people. It's because I'm collegial names, but I don't have to watch it. I'm just,
No, this is. I'm trying to process things myself. And I think I would prefer collegial over respect. Because we all define those, I think that's the challenge. that we all define.
It's like someone who says sharing. Someone who says.
That's the feeling. Right, so sorry.
But I think it would be a good practice to define at some point. So what does collegial means?
One of the things that I.
Listening.
And some of my review. The hard one for me. The mission is really. Really aligned well.
So no, I love the word collegial, I just, sometimes it's just over.
Like, what it said in the vision, when you just like poured out.
Well, but you know what? In the survey of things, then we'll be able to assess whether or not people in their own definition feel that it's cool.
Yes.
I also end up.
Because I have a feeling
College
some
mission
people
looks
like
like
that,
that right now. Our college mission.
and that is not.
Well, they
That's a lot to say about, you know, transfer, getting a job, you know, these kind of things.
Space for ideas are encouraged.
Oh.
And shared, in a collegial manner, where ideas are encouraged and shared in a collegial
That way, standard floor plans is right.
Just next to the R.
Where ideas are shared. I had a copy of my said, I'm gonna steal yours. I had a copy of our ideas. I mean, you print them out, please. Who has a library first? Who has it? Because we're talking about it. That means
Would
we.
you like to follow up?
Yes, I think you're following us our plan.
Are encouraged, yeah.
We are good. I think we're walking along the same path. Okay. Because we're collaborative. I know we are. I like it.
You may see me one day in your class, I'm the one that comes in. and comes over.
I think what we said.
Well, then if
The creative process.
another goal,
A participatory process.
just because we said the model.
The period after encouragement. We don't define collegial. That they're encouraged.
Well, no, because you don't want to be and be like. That's all. We wanted to keep it in a. In a collaborative.
So maybe give them engaged in collaboration.
Yeah, keep going. Because collaboration is a big.
All right, it's 3:40 and I want us to end the meeting on time.
Yes.
Especially those of you that are still in another time zone.
There were 7 hours a day. So what, 11?
Yeah.
So what do we presentation as much fun?
We're trying. We're trying.
Janelle, did you see that on the restaurant?
Did you see that?
On the
Yes,
restaurant?
we went this weekend, but the store is still
The
open.
store's thing. I
We bought bacalaos.
was so sad when I saw them closing. I was like,
I know.
I missed the closing.
So now we have to shop at the store. That's the only thing we have left.
What about?
Well, there's,
I know one.
there's Kiwani which is down in Chula Vista. Kiwani Isla, it's inside of Values. They're inside of the, you can see the house from the road.
Okay, yeah.
We went there, not long ago, we went to the place.
Okay, I need to try that.
Yes.
That will be like.
Yes. Yes.
We won't look at that.
Hold on, but it's too low. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna ask you, when they come low, you go high. When they come high. That's, I learned that's on my favorite. Okay.
All right, so we're gonna flip the order here and have the group with video Robbie, share out first.
Okay, let me start with, we knew the assignment, we just made a little differently. So I think we kind of came up more with some brainstorming of details and things. These might actually be some items we can discuss helping with some of the goals. And go ahead and jump in if you like. I think one of the conversations that we had is that the role of the college council can serve as a platform for student voices and decision-making body here. Something we discussed is from the role of college council being more visible to student bodies is something of the college council can have as a goal as being more. We discussed having a road show, something modeled after the Board of Trustees campus visits. And maybe annually or semester-wise, we can have college council actually go out, have our regular business, but also open it up for forums. But the goal there would be how do we how do we engage student voices more? Actually, we've got a lot on here. I don't know if anyone else wants to dive in with some of these ideas.
They want you to keep going.
So, we see the role of college council is kind of gearing the campus calendar, being the voice of the culture of the campus. So we kind of see one of the goals is really focusing on how we create that culture of campus calendar. This would sort of be where all of the calendars come together. Under that as well is also College Council developing scheduled presentations. So we have groups that come in to present, not when they have projects to present, but on a scheduled basis. And also with the calendar, would improve our level of communication. But I guess that would be one of our goals is kind of working on the campus calendar and campus culture. And then another item that we discussed is that this body developing a campus assessment that we can then look at to see how we can build that towards student success, towards better enrollment and those sorts of things. But this body kind of coming up with a campus assessment that we do. So
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, who wants to speak for this group? Tilly,
So I think that we can do it together.
okay, go for it. And yours is in the green, right?
Yeah, so, and so I know, that I have to help with some of the, I can help with us. Yeah. But I think the first one, right on, you guys over there, we kind of thought just like you. A calendar is something that is so important to us. Developing that calendar agenda with your thinking, what types of things need to be on the calendar already? Like what kind of plans need that confirmation of approval through this council in advance? So they're already there and not trying to struggle up, can I squeeze one more item on that, one more meeting, right? That college council, or having to add extra meetings in the summer because we didn't have time to get to them. So I think we're thinking along that, but I think the way you said it, Sean, I'm gonna be quiet about it, just say Sean said it already. So I think we're kind of there unless there's something else I missed. You take my next one. Or John, this is yours.
Sure, it's ours collectively, but to develop a process and procedure for constituents to assess the SOP or standard operating procedure. One thing that, in my short tenure here in 2 years, is that there is no standardization of operating procedures typically. I know we have not had an internal auditor for, I think, 10+ years or so, but that would be under the purview of an internal auditor to do not only a financial audit, but an operational and a procedural audit to ensure that, one, we even have an SOP, and if we do have an SOP, that it is current. So the developing and standardizing and review and assessment of standard operating procedures.
And it's a several-year process, right?
Correct.
So back to the other group over here of the campus assessment, really kind of maps with that piece of it really well. Knowing like, okay, we spent a year assessing, figure out what it is. Next year, how are we gonna tackle it? What are we gonna do about it?
All right, next slide.
Yeah, we just put that review college mission and revise because it's already up there, so we just popped it on there, but I'll speak to the last one. So I really see, as you guys said, College Council as creating this space and a culture and reflecting and modeling the culture that we want to see on our campus. And you know, we're all learning to navigate really up against people, and you can see sort of like the rough edges, and I've certainly experienced them and been the cause of them. So I think really, hey, I'm honest. So I think really like trying to find a way to have this body create invitation and a safe collaborative culture. And some of the things we talked about were like like inviting it and inviting people to come and present, like you talked about, student success, or having a standard like these people are always going to come and present, so that we model the shared governance and that we're inviting people into the space as opposed to asking them to contact us if they have something to share or if they want something on the agenda. I think that culture of invitation can go a long way to creating that safety and collaborative feeling. And then Lonza had something that started this whole thing out, and I will let him speak to what brought that about.
Looking at what the purpose about sharing information, and I heard this from you about urban legends. If this is a platform where everybody's part of it and everybody's supposed to be listening to us, more myth busting or urban legend busting we can do, the better it is in terms of communication. There's no space for misunderstandings. You know, it is a communication piece. I don't know how I'm going to measure that, but that led to the last point about inviting folks.
Thanks. Okay, next group.
Should we all go each, since we each wrote one?
So I had number one, which is to have a minimum of one presentation per meeting to showcase student success data. And that gets to account your alliance approach, but also being flexible that if somebody does need to come, that you might have two or you might have three, depending on the length of the agenda. So that's number one. Number two.
Was to clarify, review, discuss, and inform college policies and procedures and provide a point of contact. I think it's a little bit more in line with what John shared in terms of developing process procedures. But for us to really use this as an opportunity for us to, again, be able to clarify them, but also to review and discuss and then inform the college.
And to be transparent with their things of it.
Okay, and goal three, I would definitely say this group provided a safe space and a collaborative opportunity. So members of college council will create a safe and welcoming space where ideas are encouraged and shared in a collegial and collaborative manner. And we did that with goal three, so all the collective voice that allows that goal to be solidified. So it's just so we can all feel welcoming and inviting. It doesn't have to be a stuffy environment, it can be a fun environment, a learning environment, and just a campus culture. So that's what goal three is.
Yeah, so that's a little bit of what they were talking about, the inviting and safe collaborative culture. So to mimic that through the work that we do here, and it's measurable because we can survey each other and ask if we are doing that. And mine is to model shared and participatory governance as members of our college community. So really it's understanding what shared governance is, what participatory governance is, because even though some people use it as it's the same, it's actually not the same. But really modeling that as the group that we are, where we're making final decisions, to really help others also understand what shared and participatory governance is and what it feels like and looks like when we're making decisions as a community of this college.
Okay, so while I've been listening to you, I've been kind of trying to synthesize because, well, you know, there's a lot of commonality in what you all have discussed, which is great. You know, that synergy means, you know, we've got a direction. You know, when you see a similar idea popping up in multiple places that says, yeah, this is important, this is something that should rise to the top. So I just kind of, you know, these are not complete, but there, and you know, we've got your fuller expression of these ideas. we've got five potential things up there. Is there anything that you feel like should be added that couldn't be captured under one of these?
No, we did a great job. Everybody here did an awesome job.
So, just for, the sake of consensus, the last thing we'll do, and please grab one of the dry erase markers and not one of the flip chart markers. It is just, think about those, and if you had a top three, what would those be? And put a mark next to your top three. Just to kind of see where things settle out if you need to do some prioritizing.
Which side of the board, the whole board, just one?
The things in red on the right. And then we will, and then if there are if anybody would like to volunteer to work with me on or translating this into a logic model, then we will share that out to the entire college and discuss that as a proposal at our next meeting. Jocelyn, thank you. Sarah, thank you. All right, thank you all so much. This was really productive, and it feels good to get together in a physical space and to see this commonality of ideas emerge from those conversations. So, Ricky, anything else you want to say?
Yes, a couple of things, but go ahead, Susan.
No, I was just wondering if you wanted to mark now. I wasn't clear.
Yeah, anytime before you leave.
Okay.
And the markers are on the table.
All right.
So a couple things. One, I agree completely. This is just an example of why I love this college, because we absolutely have more in common than a lot of other places I've worked. As we were speaking, and even before this meeting, there were two things that came to mind that align perfect with this. So it's kind of almost deja vu. One, Maria Jose and I were talking about just the number of new people who are in new positions across the campus. A number of new people who are going to continue to come in our organization. All of the vice presidents in this room are hiring and probably will be for the next 3 to 6 months. It dawned on me that we haven't, Susan, reviewed our governance handbook. And as John was saying, standard operating procedures, that really at a high level is our standard operating procedures. So I'm going to ask Janelli to place that on next month's agenda. And then I'm also going to ask Janelli, and I was thinking about this too, and it aligns with what's on there, to send everyone an email asking each of you if there is a area of the campus that you would like to learn more about, or that you would like to hear from, or that you think should present at College Council. That will help us start to design the calendar for the rest of the year. And these will come from the members of College Council, notwithstanding those who reach out to us because they need to do so. So if we can put that together and respond to Janelli by the next meeting, then that'll help us start to form the calendar, and everyone will get an opportunity to have input on what the calendar of presentations for College Council look like. Fair enough? Perfect. Let's give Susan a round of applause. Thank you. Any other announcements for the good of the order?
I have one, if I could just a reminder that we are in the middle of celebrating Latinx Heritage and Chicano Heritage Month. We have a lot of activities that are happening on our campus, and coming up on Thursday, we have a really cool demystifying lowrider culture event, and Bianca Ariano, who is our new tech in the Student Success Center, Her dad is actually president of the lowrider, one of the lowrider clubs, and is going to be doing a presentation. And then they're going to have the cars here, so we'll have it up on what is this, Russ? So we really encourage folks to come out. There's going to be food, there's going to be all kinds of stuff. But the news has already caught wind of it and have reached out wanting to come and film. So we really would love to show support for that program. But there's a host of other activities, including today we had our welcome meet and greet for our Veterans Center. We did a kind of a soft opening, reopening of the vet center for folks that if you have not had a chance to visit the Veterans Center, I really encourage you to go down there. It's a pretty special place now. It's really nice in there. And we have a brand new veterans counselor that just started. Her name is Jacqueline, and she is a military spouse and brings a lot of wealth of information and experience working with veteran families in particular. So we're really excited to have her join the veterans team, and she'll be located in the Veterans Center.
And that was 3 years in the making for a college our size that is so near, has, one of the largest military installments in the world for us to finally have a full-time veterans counselor. Although I'll give a shout out to Rudy and many other counselors who served in that role, but now we have a full-time 100% veterans counselor. So kudos to Marciano and the team that made that happen.
Laura and Carolina, they've been working hard to make this happen. So
Any other announcements? I would remind us, this Thursday is a board meeting. Please join in for those of you who are on College Council or watching via YouTube. In, I believe, October 13th. 13. The second Thursday in October, our campus will house, our host rather, the board meeting. It will be in the cafeteria in front of the mural, the Chicano 50th anniversary mural. So I hope you all will join us in person. And Janelle, let's add the agenda for that meeting on the agenda for the next College Council to go review who was going to be presenting. We did that a couple of weeks ago or months ago, but let's inform folks who are going to be presenting. We have a great lineup to showcase our campus. Any other announcements? Hearing none. Susan, we have permission to conclude the.
Yes, we are through. Thank you very much for your engagement, and don't forget to vote for your top 3.